The organizations with the highest cloud bills aren't the ones that rushed to the cloud. They're the ones that got there and then stopped. 30 to 40% of cloud spend in organizations that did lift and shift without modernizing is wasted on underutilized resources, not because the cloud is expensive, because the applications running in it were never built to use what cloud actually offers. Auto-scaling, consumption-based economics, elastic capacity. The cloud doesn't fix bad architecture. It charges you for it by the minute. Cloud migration is the starting gun, not the finish line. WWT's Cloud Priorities research frames application modernization as priority 2, not because the concept is new, it's been on every IT roadmap for a decade, but because in 2026, AI has raised the stakes for every organization still carrying that form of technical debt. So if your core applications remain stuck in legacy architectures, the research is direct. You will struggle to implement AI-driven features and data-driven services. A monolith isn't going to elastically scale to serve an AI inference pipeline. It doesn't decompose into the modular services that modern AI integrations require. And in a market where your competitors are building on architectures that can do all these things, the cost of standing still isn't just in the cloud bill, it's in every move you're too slow to make. I'm Robb Boyd, and this is Worldwide Technology Presents Research. This is Party 2 of WWT's Cloud Priorities Research, Application Modernization, and today's focus is the applications that your organization actually runs. Dave Sellers is a cloud sales specialist at Worldwide Technology, working with enterprise clients on application modernization across industries. Todd Barron is Principal Solutions Architect at WWT, a software engineer who became an architect, which means he's spent years inside the systems that most organizations are now trying to leave behind. Here's where those conversations usually start.
One of the things I always tell people is that a dumpster fire on premise will be a dumpster fire in the cloud. You know, if you just move it and don't modernize it, you're asking for trouble. And that is unfortunately where a lot of people find themselves in. They funded the migration, but didn't fund the modernization.
That's the gap in plain language. The assumption underneath it that moving to the cloud would somehow transfer cloud capabilities turns out to be wrong in a very specific and expensive way. The economics that make cloud attractive depend on applications that can actually use them. Without that, you've bought the ticket but missed the flight. You're still stuck paying for 100% of the power, 100% of the time, regardless of whether you're using it.
Most organizations find that 30 to 40% of their cloud spend is wasted on underutilized resources after a lift and shift migration. That's a very important metric because what that means is you moved it, but did you optimize it for scaling? Auto scaling is a big thing that happens, but why is that possible in the cloud? It's possible because you move to microservices, you move to containers. That allows you to run your application in peaks and valleys that before you had to build an on-premise, your application had to run with the servers that you had 24/7.
These are not architectural preferences. They're the mechanism that makes cloud economics work. And without them, you're running the same financial model you ran on-prem at cloud prices. The problem is that most organizations let the milestone become the mission. Closing the data center, that's a clean win. There's a date on the calendar. There's a number to report to the board. It's that second phase, re-architecting for the environment, getting actually cloud smart. I get it, right? There's no trophy for a deployment refactored to use auto-scaling.
I've seen too many, I'll just say, of our customers who had very good intentions and had business objective of, hey, I'm going to exit my data center by June 30th, 2025. And they accomplished that goal. And then 2-3 months later, when the bill starts running in, it's almost like a dumpster fire again to say, how am I going to get out of this cost and expense mess? I could even accept the lift and shift as a strategy as long as the minute it's lifted and shifted there, I have the second part engaged. Now I need to get cloud smart. I need to have these architectures modified. I need to have my processes modified. I need to develop differently. I need to test differently.
The second part engaged immediately. That's the discipline most migration plans don't build in. And the cost of skipping it goes beyond the bill. For years, the data center was the excuse, right? It's opaque by design, impossible to cost allocate with any kind of precision. The cloud was supposed to fix that. Organizations moved, expecting a itemized breakdown. What they got, if they lifted and shifted without modernizing, was the same architecture, now rented. You can't track what you can't break apart.
If you've baked the cake, how do you know what ingredient in the cake is costing you the most? So containerization, services, microservices, what does that really mean? It means breaking that cake down into the individual ingredients and treating them separately. So when you take a monolith, break it into services, break it into cloud native components, it now gives you the ability to look at it from a financial lens and go, oh, you know what? This component is what is costing me a lot. This component is what I need to scale. This is what I need to move. This is what I need to change. If it's all based on a big monolith that isn't broken out that way, you can't act. Even if you know it's costing you a lot of money, you don't know what components are costing you a lot. And worse, you can't do anything about it.
Ask 10 IT leaders what modernization means, and you'll get 10 different answers. A UI refresh for one, a full Kubernetes rewrite for another, something in between for everyone else. That ambiguity isn't just semantic. When the definition is fluid, the roadmap is fluid. When the roadmap is fluid, projects drift until something forces the decision. The research is specific about what grounds the work. Start with business objectives, not technology preferences.
It's like 5 years ago saying cloud and you get 10 different answers. What we want to do is focus on the customer's business objectives of modernization itself. So I've seen customers that say, I want to move to a container strategy to increase my portability of where workloads run and how they get executed. Makes sense. I've seen other customers say, I want to use AI and I want to develop a brand new application from scratch. Got it. I've seen customers say, hey, I want to rethink the user interface, but the core backend system is still good. It still has all of the APIs we need to other core systems in our network. So let's focus on the user experience. So modernization could be containers. It could be a better UI. It could be a complete rewrite. But the point is that you can't stand still. There's no business that's successful that doesn't alter its business strategy and way forward every 3 to 6 months. If so, you're a lame duck.
Starting with business objectives sounds like common sense. In practice, it's rarely where organizations start. Most begin with a headache, right? The loudest application, the one that crashed last week, the one with the most support tickets. The research defines a more disciplined approach, a structured portfolio disposition where every application gets evaluated against its actual business value and competitive exposure. Some legacy applications are running fine and they need to stay that way. Others are the primary engines of growth, and they need a ground-up rebuild. The discipline is committing to that map before touching a keyboard. What makes that discipline urgent in 2026 is what's changed about the competitive bar. Legacy systems don't just create technical debt, they create a specific kind of organizational ceiling.
Modernization all comes down to the agility and the ability to react. And it's not just to react to what you have internal pressures on how applications are performing or what your financial burdens may be, where you're seeing increased cost, but it's the ability to react to the industry with the advent, of course, of artificial intelligence as we know it today. It requires a level of agility and pivoting that you need to do now. Things are changing by the week. Modernization enables you to have that agility that is going to be required in this new world, artificial intelligence and how fast things are moving.
That agility requirement shows up most directly in customer-facing applications, where the absence of it is most visible and most expensive to explain.
What they wanted to understand was if we sent a promotion out and said, okay, on Tuesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time, you will get free delivery. Now, what's that going to do to the app? It's going to get smoked, right? If you have a cloud native architecture and you have that scaling already built in, you're fine because those servers will just keep building and building until you reach the need that you have. On-prem, you'd have killed that app.
Scale on demand. When the promotion window closes, the resources are released, and so does the cost. No pre-provisioned hardware sitting idle for the other 22 hours. But what that story surfaces is the mental model shift underneath the architecture shift. Managing infrastructure you own is a physical model: space, capacity, utilization. Cloud native isn't a real estate play. The relationship to infrastructure changes entirely.
When you go from traditional software or traditional systems to cloud native, you're no longer managing applications, you're managing services.
That's the pivot. In the old model, you paid for the box, whether it was doing work or not. In the service model, you're paying for the pulse of the business. When the promotion window closes, the pulse slows, and so does the spend. You stop managing real estate and start managing velocity. The service model isn't just more efficient, it's the prerequisite for what the research identifies as the defining pressure of 2026, AI readiness. The gap between modernized and legacy systems isn't measured in efficiency gains anymore. The research documents modern architectures completing fulfillment cycles in 12 hours that take legacy environments 3 weeks. That's not an efficiency delta. That's a different category of competitive capability. And the same technology that's creating that gap is now also the fastest tool available for closing it. So AI is both the pressure raising the bar as well as the accelerant for getting over it.
Let's go ahead and let's FedEx these applications overnight. I know I'm being dramatic for effect, but it is kind of the same mindset for me. It's like we can now do with applications what we've never been able to do with them. And so I even go a step further and say, I would challenge our customers to completely change their organizational structure. We've still got customers doing waterfall development. We've still got customers doing basic agile development. I think that you need to take the app dev team, the DevOps team, and the business team and put them together to develop and enhance applications, because that's what you're really going to see be valuable the next 10 years.
Overnight delivery. That's the speed the market is moving toward. But you can't ship at that pace if the package is stuck in a departmental handoff for 2 weeks. The unified platform model Dave's describing, app dev, DevOps, and business together, well, that's not an organizational preference. It's what finally eliminates that documentation debt and manual bottlenecks that cap iteration speed. It's also what gives AI a clear path to production.
I can have an agent go do it for me, and I can go have 10 agents do it for me. I can stand up an agent that is my network agent. I can stand up a security agent, a storage agent. AI is giving us the ability in modernization. I'm not just taking a monolith or taking code and completely replicating what it did. I can try it in a completely new way that was not even possible before. I've seen 30 to 50%. I would say for me, it might be 70 to 80%, depending on what I'm doing, to then use that time to do what if and to also further optimize and completely redo how the application works. So, modernization is not just taking it and putting it on the cloud. Modernization means rethinking from the ground up. What am I even trying to achieve and how am I doing it?
30 to 50% of coding time reclaimed. And in Todd's experience, closer to 80. That's not a developer productivity story. It's a reclaimed capacity pointed at rethinking what the application is actually trying to do.
As an application developer, in the old days, it was all about, do I know this syntax structure? Do I know this language well enough? Do I need somebody that knows C++ over here or Java over there? And now it's more thinking about what could the app do better? What could it do faster? What could it do cleaner? What could it do to cost less to run in the cloud? It's all the thinking that we're going to enable the app dev teams to do, that some of it got lost in that shuffle of day-to-day grind, that these AI coding assistant tools are taking over that grind and letting you think more.
From syntax to strategy, that shift is what finally changes the economics of a conversation that's been stuck for years. The modernization discussion has always been paralyzed by the belief that it would cost too much and take too long. Well, the research shows AI and automated code transformation have fundamentally changed the math.
The whole modernization topic, it's always been the elephant in the room. It's going to cost too much. It's going to take too long. We're okay. It's still running fine. Now with these AI coding assistant tools and other things we have, I think it's a fundamental business mistake not to take this on. A, because of the cost savings you can get, and B, the agility to compete, the ability to do business, the ability to give your employees the tools they need is going to be more and more important each month we go along this journey.
A fundamental business mistake. The research backs it, and that judgment raises the harder question, not whether to modernize, but how to avoid the failure mode that shows up most reliably once organizations commit to moving. The most common breakdown isn't inaction, it's undisciplined action. Buying the AI tools before mapping the portfolio, accelerating before agreeing on the destination.
The first step is to sit down and create the business objectives for that customer as to why they're wanting to modernize, which ones are important, which ones need to go first, second, third. And we've got tools and process around all of this to make it a very cost-effective way. The hyperscalers will even partially fund some of these activities for partners like Worldwide Technology. Different strategies for different types of applications. Sitting still is no longer an option.
Business objectives first, portfolio mapped. Then execution against that priority list measured at every stage against the case that justified starting. The research structures this as 3 phases: assess, modernize, validate. And it flags a trap that's easy to fall into once the AI tools are in the room. The temptation is to use AI to go faster without changing how you engineer, to procure the coding assistant, count the time saved per ticket, report it as a transformation. What that produces, though, is more code built on the same underlying problems, velocity applied to the wrong destination. The organizations that get this right don't lead with tooling, they lead with the question of what they're trying to build.
AI native engineering is all about using AI tools to look across the entire software development lifecycle and say, how can we inject AI to make this faster, better, right? It's not just a coding assistant. It is using AI to look at the entire project. Get these AI tools into your teams. Start building that foundation of your engineering teams, changing how they do, code commits, changing how they build their requirements, changing how they build their project management around the engineering. Start building that foundation of your engineering teams while you then figure out, okay, what do we modernize? What can we actually make completely cloud native for operational agility and excellence? Then combine those two. Okay, we've got our workforce ready. We now know what applications we need to go after. Let's go do it.
Foundation first, then velocity. The risk of reversing that order isn't theoretical. The failure pattern is consistent across organizations that rushed AI tooling into teams before the engineering fundamentals were in place. They produced more code with the same amount of rework because the discipline that AI was supposed to accelerate wasn't there to accelerate.
Companies haven't failed at AI because of AI. They failed because they forgot how to engineer. So AI is not an excuse for engineering. What it is an ability to make your engineering even faster and tighter. But you cannot skip over fundamentals of, well, I need to have clear requirements. I need to have good, very good design. And most importantly, I need to have the data to back all this up. AI does not know context. AI does not know judgment. Humans know judgment. Humans know the context. Very important.
That last part, AI doesn't know judgment. It tends to go quiet exactly when the vendor demo is most impressive. Probably the wrong time for it to go quiet. There's one more variable in the modernization equation that formal project plans almost never track. Costs get measured, timeline gets managed, architecture gets diagrammed. What rarely gets accounted for is whether the engineering organization has the appetite for this change or whether the window for that appetite is open.
This is also a people opportunity. People across organizations are excited about what the potentials are. They're excited that they can take a process that was very difficult to do or required a lot of steps or was very manual. And it's like, wow, and AI can help optimize what I was doing. Take advantage of that. So not only can you now modernize quicker, not only do you have tools that can make people more productive and frankly make things easier for them to do, they want to do it. Give them the tools, give them the opportunity. This is the moment, Rob. People are excited. You have the tools. It will be a benefit to you in the business. Why would you not do it?
The organizations that got to the cloud and stopped, they're still paying for it. The bill looks like a cost problem. The research is clear that it's an architecture problem. And in 2026, the architecture problem is also an AI problem. Legacy applications don't just carry technical debt, they carry a ceiling on what your organization can build and how fast it can move. The path that the research defines isn't complicated. An honest assessment of the full application portfolio against actual business value and competitive exposure, modernization work executed against that priority list and then measured against outcomes at every stage, along with validation against the same case that got the project started in the first place. The AI acceleration is real, right? WWT's own experience mirrors the field data, with refactoring times reduced by 30 to 50% without sacrificing quality. The workforce ready to do this work is real. The window to do it on your own terms, it's open, but the research is direct that it doesn't stay open indefinitely. WWT's full Cloud Priorities research goes deeper on every dimension of Priority 2, the disposition framework, the cloud-native design principles, the metrics that tell you whether modernization work is actually moving the right numbers. That's all, of course, at WWT.com. Next up in the series, we have Priority 3, how FinOps and technical business management converge into a single financial operating model.
You can have perfect visibility with zero accountability, and nothing's going to change inside the organization. And it's important to distinguish that no tool completely fixes that.
Because modernizing applications changes what those applications can do, Priority 3 is about making sure your organization actually captures the financial value of what you just built. Thank you for watching. I'm Robb Boyd. This is Worldwide Technology Presents Research.